All righty, everybody. Welcome back to the Talk Your Game podcast. Week 4 of the NFL is almost wrapped up. We have Monday night left, but we are going to talk about quite a few games that happened this week. My Cowboys won, so I'm happy about that. Gaff's blowing some smoke right now, and he's got a lot of steam that he needs to let out. So we're going to talk about the Bengals as well. We got some Bears content for you. We have some CJ Stroud content. We're both CJ Stroud fans here. So shout out to all the Texans fans. We're going to be talking about Stroud. And then just honestly, a very pleasant way to end week 4 or to end the Sunday of week 4 with the Chiefs and Jets game that we all were pleasantly surprised with. So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to get into it. And we're going to get into it right away with my Dallas Cowboys.
Starting off fun.
The Dallas Cowboys beat the New England Patriots 38-3, which, by the way, I believe this was the largest defeat for Bill Belichick, which is just, I never thought I'd see that as a Cowboys fan, that the Cowboys gave Bill Belichick his largest defeat, but it feels good to have that. So Cowboys fans, just like week 1, it feels good that you can talk shit on a Monday when you get a win on a Sunday. So we're going to get into it. And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's the same issues that we saw in the Cowboys from week 1 till now, which is red zone. But it's also the same things that we saw from week 1 till now that carried this team so far was the defense, especially 2 defensive touchdowns or 2 or 3 defensive touchdowns, which, again, everyone knows, I've said this for now 4 weeks, that this is Doomsday Defense 2.0. Cowboys defense is one of the best. This is what our identity is as a team. Now, everyone was messaging me throughout the game again, Cowboys red zone offense, Cowboys red zone offense. Well, weirdly enough, over the weekend, Kaif and I were talking about red zone offenses, and one of the throws that we don't see as often by the Cowboys was a wide receiver fade. And ironically, CeeDee Lamb catches a wide receiver fade for a touchdown this season, and it happened to be this game. So we finally saw some sort of offense in the red zone by the Cowboys. We saw Hunter Lepke pound it in, get a red zone touchdown at the end as well. So there is a glimmer of hope. Now, the execution on red zone has been very questionable. There was one play where I forgot who Dak had thrown it to, but he had Pollard out on the very left side of the field in as a wide receiver position, open, and Dak just missed him. There's hiccups there, and I'm leaning towards feeling a little bit more comfortable because, again, outside of the red zone, the Cowboys moved the ball phenomenally. And a lot of people are complaining about, CD doesn't have 100 yards or blah, blah, blah. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receivers with over four targets or more. That means Dak's spreading the ball. He's not focusing on one guy. He's just trying to get to the guy that's open and move the chains. That's great. That's what you want to see from Dak, guys. He's not playing bad. He's actually playing pretty well. And if Dak continues to play like this, I think the red zone offense will slowly start to figure its way back into, hey, we can score in the red zone. Do I think the Cowboys need a big running back to pound it in? Absolutely. I still will always say that. If that guy ends up being Hunter Lepke, cool. He's our fullback. If we want to hand him the ball and it's a grind out 3rd and 1 or 4th and goal or something like that, I'm confident in handing him the ball at this point, because it doesn't seem like we're going to sign anyone that's going to be that big back. So either he's in there getting the ball or he's in there as a lead blocker. I'm okay with that.
Yep.
I really don't have much to say about this game because I've been saying about the red zone so much, but we can always just talk about praising the defense. A lot of people last week were complaining about the defense and, the rushing yards they gave the Cardinals and blah, 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 blah. But see how easy it is to bounce back, how easy it is to get those ugly losses out of the system and just get back to playing the football that you guys know, like the team knows. This team looked way more confident compared to last week. And it goes back to, you got that ugly loss out of your system. coach probably came in and was like, hey guys, you guys done? You guys done screwing around? You guys done pointing fingers? Let's get back on the same page. We got a mission this year. And this team clearly has a mission this year. So there's not really much to say negatively about the Cowboys. I know a lot of people expect that. The goal line red zone is always going to be an issue. There's no real fix for it. Like you can't just say, oh, they should trade for X player or they should sign blah, blah, blah. You could say that all you want, but at the end of the day, the team has to execute. And right now, red zone offense is just it's the execution's not there. I still think Dak and Mike McCarthy and the offense will get together over the week and really, really focus on red zone because they have San Francisco coming up. And I really like what Dak said in the press conference. Somebody had asked him about San Francisco. I don't know if you did you see that?
No, I didn't.
So somebody asked Dak about the Niners coming up, and he kind of like looked at the guy and he's like, I appreciate you bringing that up. I appreciate you making me mad and pissing me off to fuel me up for this week. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that Dak's now like, hey, man, I'm not going to take that criticism. You want to talk about how I played against the Niners last year in the playoffs? Be my guest. But now you're just going to fuel me. You're going to make me angry. You're going to make my guys angry. And we're going to come out and start to play hard-nosed football. And I hope his comments show coming next week because this game, it should have been a win. It was a win. There's nothing on here that you can take and be like, this was bad, that was bad, blah, blah, blah. What really is going to show out is next week against the 49ers. Can we put up points? Can we score in the red zone against the 49ers? Because if we do, then I think we win that game. And I think then that's when people realize that the Cowboys are for real this year. So it really comes down to that 49ers game next week. We've had bad games. We've had good games. The defense has been carrying us. It's time for next week for the offense to finally show up and start putting touchdowns on the board.
Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment. There's really not much more to say outside of everything you said for this game.
Yeah.
It's a shellacking. It is. It's something that we're not used to seeing with the Bill Belichick team. Mac Jones is definitely not the answer. It's something that we talked about this weekend. He's just mediocre. The fact that he got pulled, toward the end of the third quarter for Bailey Zappi, he just didn't look comfortable. Nothing worked. Nothing worked at all for the Patriots, right? And everything worked well for the Cowboys. Now let's see what happens next week. That's really my assessment from this game. Is let's see what happens next week.
Exactly.
Going up against a tough 49ers team. Christian McCaffrey is 100% different compared to Stevenson and Elliott. That offensive line is completely different. It's going to be great. It's realistically going to be a potential playoff matchup that we're going to see later on. So, and honestly, it's good to get a playoff matchup like that ahead early in the season, in my opinion. That way it's all right, cool. Here's our weaknesses. We have 10 weeks to figure out when we play again, how to fix these issues. It's better to have that now rather than already being in a rhythm week 16 and then not being able to figure out how to stop them. So let's see what happens next week. The 49ers, that's easily going to be the game of the week. We'll talk about that tomorrow when we break down games or upcoming games. But 38-3 final score. Cowboys win.
Quick shout out, Deron Bland. Anyone who listened to the podcast last year, I talked a lot about Deron Bland. Just love the way the guy plays. He stepped in, got 2 interceptions, got a pick 6 today too. So anyone worried about the Trayvon Diggs injury? I didn't even talk about it last week, but anyone worried about the Trayvon Diggs injury? I'm not saying Deron Bland is going to replace Trayvon Diggs or be just as good, but you feel a little bit comfortable. This is what I meant, that the Cowboys have depth. This is where I felt confident going into this season with the Cowboys, more confident than any seasons in the past, that we have this depth with this team that we can continue to roll. We can continue to win. Like we've had a shuffling board of offensive linemen, but yet we're still playing at a high level. And that's impressive to me with the depth on this team. So I feel a lot of confidence about the Cowboys, but the true test, like we said, it's going to be next week against San Francisco.
Yep.
So we'll move it right along. And I'm just going to let Kaif get out all his grievances early out, all in the way. We're going to talk about our teams early on in this episode. So that way we get it out of the way. Kaif, buddy, I'm just going to let you take over and, I'll introduce it for you real quick. So that way you don't have to say the score over again. If anyone missed it, the Tennessee Titans beat the Cincinnati Bengals 27-3. The Bengals are now 1-3. Kaif is now
Yep.
you.
um. Yeah, I mean, for the last 3 weeks, I have tried to be like Joe Burrow, right? I'm trying to play cool. I'm trying to keep it realistic. Just pump the brakes on the worry, right? I'm done with that. I'm done. Uh, I'm done. I will be 100% honest. Going, I turned off the game. This is the first time in years, and I've been through some stuff with the Bengals. This is the first time in years I have turned off a game in the third quarter. I didn't watch the fourth quarter. I couldn't tell you if we even got a first down in the fourth quarter. I don't care, to be honest, because the product that we put up the first 3 quarters is hot garbage. It's not acceptable. It's frustrating to watch. It's boring to watch. This offense that we're seeing from the Bengals right now, it is not I mean, last week, yes, was I praising them for being able to be one of the few offenses in the league that can, dink and dunk and kind of make their way down the field? Sure. But when you go up against a decent defense with a good offense or defensive line, Joe Burrow's not going to have that time.
Yeah.
And I'll get into Joe Burrow here in a second, right? He's not going to be off the hook either, but also there's other issues, right? For years now, the offensive line has been an issue, right? And it's not being addressed. Yeah, cool. We picked up Lyle Collins last year. We picked up Orlando Brown Jr. this year, right? Cool. Small little pickups here and there that's supposed to help us out. It's not working, man. It's not. Frank Pollock, I'm sorry, we hired you for a reason. You're not getting the job done. This offensive line absolutely is ass. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Either figure it out where, cool, you want to get Joe Mixon involved. That's great. But either figure out with your offensive line, are you going to be a great team that, can pass block well, or you can run block well? We can't do either. Figure out one of the two. I don't give a shit. I really don't. One of the two, figure that out. Because, cool, you get the running game going, that helps Joe Burrow out. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be a pass block team, then you guys better give him more than 1.5 seconds. Joe Burrow gets the ball out very quickly. But the fact that he gets it out quickly and you still cannot give him enough time to get that ball out, that is 100% ridiculous. Cool. Did we lose T. Higgins? Yeah. But honestly, T. Higgins, where have you been all season? You've been kind of nonchalant.
Mm-hmm.
Did we use Jamar Chase in a way that I like? Sure, every once in a while, but he's the one that said it in his press conference. He's like, I'm open. I'm fucking open. Right?
Always open.
Is that true or not? I don't know. I've looked at game tape. I'm sure he's open a little bit, but the problem is we went into the season having this high potent offense, right? We are last in the league in points per game. Great, it's 4 games. Who cares? But we're scoring 12 points is the average for this offense that we have. That's bullshit. I went into the season thinking that was going to be our defense with everyone that we lost on the defense, right? I wasn't even worried about the offense, but for anyone sitting out there trying to tell me, hey, dude, especially anyone that's a Bengals fan, right? You're sitting me and telling like, hey, look, we've been through this before, right? We have slow starts. It's just who we are as a team. That's bullshit. That's not acceptable. We should not accept the fact that our team has to have a slow start to finally pick up. That's not a good team.
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry, but all these other teams that have these great starts, why are we the ones that are struggling? Why should we be the ones that have to accept that, hey, it's just who the Bengals are. We'll go through the first 4 weeks where we don't do well and then watch what happens. I don't want to watch what happens. I want to go. This was supposed to be a win. For anyone that didn't think this was supposed to be an easy win. Next week we play the Cardinals. That was supposed to be an easy win too. I don't think it's going to be an easy win. I don't think we're going into the bye with a decent schedule or with a record. I really don't. I don't know where we go from here. I don't. That defense, I praise them and I still will praise them because they only gave up 3 points after half. But when you go down 24 points in the first half, there's only so much your defense can do for you. I'm sorry. As a Bengals fan, I am frustrated. This is not what we deserve. This is not Zach Taylor, Brian Callahan. Figure this shit out, dude. You can't tell me all these other teams can figure out this shit. You can't tell me the fucking Cardinals are putting up points, but we can't put up points. You can't tell me the Lions, who have always sucked, are putting up points. You can't tell me the fucking Steelers with fucking Kenny. Oh, I'm sorry. I am cursing left and right. Kenny Pickett is throwing touch. Backup quarterbacks. Freaking Zach Wilson threw touchdowns today.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. 27-3 is a loss. We deserve to lose this way. We got absolutely destroyed all across the board. if something doesn't change by the bye week, this is going to be a losing season for the Bengals. This is
Mhm.
not even maybe 1 week ago. It was like, all right, cool, we can make the playoffs. No, we still got to play every single team in our division one more time, and this division is not easy. And if
No.
you haven't looked at our schedule, we play some badass teams.
Yeah.
We are not a playoff team right now. We are not.
No. No.
And that's where I'm at.
I honestly, I get your frustrations because I watched this Bengals game very intently. And the slow starts, which you had been explaining to me all season long, I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. Slow starts. Second half, it shows. The Bengals adjust second half. But this time they didn't adjust. And when that game ended, my first initial thought is Zach Taylor has this team unprepared every week. And the only reason I say that is because you start every game the same. There's no like scheme to like outperform the other team's defense, right? You draw up schemes and plays like how we saw last week to get Jamar open and out scheme that team. It doesn't feel like that offense is doing that. It doesn't feel like Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, and the offensive coordinator, I don't know your coordinator's name, but it doesn't seem like they're getting on the same page to out scheme a team. They just seem like they want to force their style of playing, and if it doesn't work, they kind of just sit with their hands in their lap. They're like, "Oh shit, what do we do? Okay, just hand it off to Joe." So like, my full blame is on Zach Taylor right now. I'm not a fan of his. I've ebbed and flowed with it, but I've never been a full fan of his, and I'm not right now. I'd rather see by the bye week, if you guys are still this way, I'd rather see Lou Anamarino take over as interim head coach and Zach Taylor be gone because he does not have this team prepared at all. And then you mentioned a team figuring out its identity on the offensive line. You just got beat by a team that does that. The Titans are a run heavy offensive team. That is where their offensive line shines. And they're like, hey, we'll do that. We'll shine in the run game and we'll take our chances in the pass game. We can't pass protect as well, but we damn sure well know that we can run block. So just like you said, this offensive line needs to figure out their identity. You just lost to a team that head coach figured out his team's identity with that offensive line. I don't blame Burrow. I don't blame anyone really, except for one person, Zach. That's Zach Taylor. That's how I feel about the Bengals, and I'm just as frustrated with you because at the end of 4 weeks, we are laughing that the Dallas Cowboys can't score in the red zone, but the Bengals offense, you would never have thought they would be last in scoring in this league. If someone told you at the beginning of the seasons that the Bengals would be last and the Cowboys would be somewhere in the middle, you'd be like, LOL, that's not true. But that's what it is right now. And that's pathetic. That is absolutely pathetic for Zach Taylor to have that offensive production go out on the field. You didn't watch the end of the game. I was just fuming at the TV. I was like, dude, just take out Joe Burrow. You're getting your butt kicked. You're not moving the ball. Why are you letting your franchise quarterback continuously get hit and take sacks? Take him out of the fucking game. But he didn't do that either. So it's like, I don't know. It's all Zach Taylor for me. That's my frustration. And I just keep getting heated more and more, I think, about the Bengals right now because they should not be this bad at all. They should not be this bad at all. They're playing like they need a number one quarterback. Like they're playing for a first round pick. That's how bad they're playing. But they shouldn't be playing like that. They have no excuse to be playing like that.
No, it's lackluster. It's completely lackluster. There's no chip, man. There's no chip on their goddamn shoulder, and that's the problem. Mm-hmm. Where's that chip that we had last season, right? The defense is carrying that chip, but where's the offense, right? Where's that mentality where I used to go into games last season knowing, all right, cool, whatever. Second half, we always figure out the adjustments, right? Lou Amarillo is doing that, but there's only so long a defense can hold another team. It's impossible.
Exactly. It's just like how I said about the Cowboys last week, where it's like, hey guys, the defense tried. They're getting gassed. If your offense can't move the ball and put points on the board, your defense is going to get gassed, and that's going to show. Derrick Henry is just going to pound through them, and that's what happened with the Bengals. The offense couldn't put up points. The defense kept throwing on the field, and Derrick Henry's like, cool, I don't see any Bengals out there. I see little kitty cats, so I'm just going to run all over them. That's what he did. Yeah, he had 122 yards.
King Henry was honestly the king of the Bengals, king of the cats, whatever you want to call it. Tiger King, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's just frustrating to see the product that's on the field. It's not what we deserve. Bengals fans are one of the most prideful fans out there, right? We've gone through so much shit. We don't have a Super Bowl. We hear it in and out. Even when we're good, we hear it from everyone sitting there saying, you guys haven't done anything. I'm sorry, but when we finally have something, right? We have the number one paid quarterback. And granted, Joe Burrow's hurt, right? And I get it.
Yeah.
Everyone's asking for Jake Browning to come in. If anyone watched preseason, you'll know right away. Cool. Can Jake Browning actually do a play action and roll out? Sure. Can he pass him more than 5 yards on the field? No. So unfortunately, yes, Joe Burrow, while injured, is our best option. Anyone out there that's criticizing that, for you to take someone's hard work for the last 3 seasons and completely forget about it 4 games, you're an idiot. Joe Burrow will get healthy. He will be good again. But until he gets there, actually, I shouldn't say every single, that Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan, figure this shit out. You cannot tell me, even with a hurt Joe Burrow, you can't figure out a scheme, because he can still drive the ball. Can he throw it 60 yards on the field? Probably not. But we all know the best thing that Joe Burrow does is dissect defenses. He dissects them. He is a surgeon. Can he roll out of the pocket? No, and that does suck. Yes, that does good. He's great outside the pocket, but right now he can't. So figure it out. Sorry, we're more than 3/4 of our way into this episode. We've only covered this, but it is frustrating. I know there's a lot of people out there that love talking to me about how much they love Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, so they want to hear this, but they have nothing to talk about this season. I feel all I can sit there and say is, guys, hopefully it picks up. I don't have the answers. I'm not paid to have the damn answers.
No.
But just because I'm not paid to have the answers doesn't mean I can't criticize what's going on out there. I've watched enough football in my life to know what's going on out there is not what we can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
shit doesn't get fixed. Zach Taylor, you may be a great players coach. I don't need a damn players coach. I need someone that can actually coach a team to win.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Your players will love you if you win, homie. They're going to hate you if you lose.
We said it last year. Winning changes everything. Win a few games, everyone feels a lot better. But if you're not winning, man, there's something in the water, something in the locker room. We'll leave it with the Bengals' big question mark. They got a lot of work to do. They got a lot of work to do. So we will be watching them very, very intently. Let's move it forward, because this was everyone's game of the week, or at least matchup of the week that we all wanted to watch. The Buffalo Bills beat the Miami Dolphins 48-20. The same Miami Dolphins team that dropped 70 points last week loses 48-20. We got to see that wake-up call. We got to see that matchup that we wanted to see, that, hey, can Tua go against a tough team, a playoff team, a Super Bowl contending team, and not only that, they're division rivals. And it showed. And it's not a complete knock on Tua. Like, he had a decent game. He had 282 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Devon Achane still killing it, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. But it came down to Buffalo Bills have a good defense, and can the Dolphins score on good defenses? And it showed that they couldn't. And on the flip side of that is like, okay, well, if you can't score on good defenses, can your defense stop good offenses? And they could not stop Josh Allen. Josh Allen killed them. He was 320 yards, 4 touchdowns, people. 4 touchdowns for Josh Allen. By the way, he also had 1 rushing touchdown. So, man, that was a big wake-up call for Miami. And this is actually why I had Buffalo tied at the bottom of my power rankings at 5, because they had a slow start to the season. Not a slow start to games, a slow start to the season, but they picked it up immediately as soon as week 2 and 3 hit, and they caught their stride back to, hey, Buffalo's a dangerous team. We need to start talking about them. Kudos to the Buffalo Bills. They have been flying under the radar, at least in our books, and at least to some of the crowd that we hang out with. People weren't talking about the Bills like how they were last year. Y'all basically will be talking about them like this the rest of the year. The Bills are back, baby. The Bills are back.
Yep. Bills look great. They looked amazing. That's something we talked about last week, is This is why I told you when it came to Tua, like we all love him. But I said last week I wanted to see what happens when he's in a shootout, or I want to see what happens when he has to play from behind. And we got our answer today. Was he great? No. Was he bad? No. But is he the game changer? Is he a Patrick Mahomes type? Right? Can you sit there and say, "All right, cool, I'm down by 11, I got this"? Didn't happen.
Mm-mm.
But honestly, my bigger criticism for the Dolphins is that defense. I think
Yeah,
we forgot that week 1 they barely beat the Chargers. Week 2 they only beat the Patriots by 7. They gave up 34 to the Chargers. They gave up 17 to the Patriots. I mean, this defense needs to be addressed because yeah, you can have shootouts. That's great. But when you have a team like the Bills that will throw it right back at you and have all the power that they do, poor tackling, right? The play that I think of most
Diggs.
is Stephon Diggs, 57-yard touchdown, 2 blown tackles, easy tackles, and
Yeah,
he got away with it.
and
So
if you
when you play a disciplined team like the Bills, when you go up against a guy with or when you go up against
Ken
Kenny
Dorsey.
Dorset, whatever his name is, who can drop a great offensive scheme, and you have
Oh
Josh
yeah.
Allen, you have all the weapons they have over there too. I think we forgot about the weapons that the
Mm-hmm.
Bills had. I think we all forgot about Diggs for a little while, but he showed up, and the Bills are back. Right, the Bills are definitely back,
Yeah.
and the hype around. I don't think the hype around Miami is fully deflated, right? But maybe this is their wake up call too, right? It's cool. Everyone loves our offense. Everyone's talking about we can put up 70 points. Who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares if you can do that? If you can't be, if another team's gonna okay, in this week, who cares if you can put up 20 points when someone else puts up 48?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So, do I think it's going to be a wake up call for them? Yes. Is this going to be a great rematch later on in the season? Of course. I see both these teams making playoffs, but Miami's Achilles heel is going to be their defense right now. We all know you win Super Bowls with defenses.
I
So,
agree. That
but
is,
like I said, I'll give my kudos to the Bills. They looked amazing today. They're
yeah.
definitely going to be a contender in the power rankings this week. They've been flying low. They really have.
Yeah.
But just like when someone puts up 70 and they get praise, the Bills are about to get a bunch of praise for putting up 48. So
Exactly.
great
Against
game overall. But
yeah, and then putting
I
up
mean, I thought it was
48.
going to be a complete shootout. The first 4 possessions were touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
I
I was
didn't
like, here
think
we
we would
go.
get a punt. Yeah.
I thought we were about to get a rematch of the Chiefs and Rams from 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
It looked like it, but
It looked like it. I think I think I'm a little bit less on I'm more deflated on the Dolphins. I don't feel confident with this defense at all. And it's not that they don't have the talent. It's just we saw what talented offenses do to them. So I'm giving this more so praise to the Bills. And I think that's the team that we really should talk about. Miami will be there, but Miami has a lot more to prove than Buffalo. And Buffalo showed that, hey, we've been to AFC championship games. We know what it takes to get far. Miami, you haven't made that route. So we are a unit that's Buffalo is saying we are a unit that has gone through it and we will show you how to go through it. And that's what they did. So
yeah,
kudos to the Buffalo Bills, man. I can't wait
yeah,
for this rematch later on in the season. Both teams are 3-1 tied in the division right now. So it is going to be a very, very fun division to watch.
yes,
So yeah, Buffalo beat Miami 48-20. We will move it along to a game that I'm honestly surprised we're talking about because the Chicago Bears gave up a lead. The Chicago Bears lost to the Denver Broncos 28-31. And in the fourth quarter, they gave up 17 points to lose the lead and lose the game. What is happening, Chicago? What is going on? Justin Fields probably had the best game of his career. He went 28 of 35, 4 passing touchdowns. He had a phenomenal game. Like we complained
yep,
about him passing and passing and passing, and then all of a sudden the Bears defense kind of let them down. And kudos to the Denver Broncos, by the way. They look like they were about to get another shellacking. And to come back in the second half, Russell Wilson goes Russell Wilson goes 21 of 28, 223 yards and 3 touchdowns to help the Denver Broncos win that game. Who, by the way, Russ has been playing really well all season.
yeah.
Anyone want to question Russ? Look at last year's stats. Look at this year's first 4 games. Russ is looking good. yeah, I'm honestly shocked that the Bears let that lead go. I don't get how you let that happen. Like, again, Chicago, what is happening? You had it. It was there. You could have got the first win of the season, and your defense just lets you down. And we can complain about the offense in the second half, but they still were able to score a touchdown in the third quarter. So,
yeah.
Fourth quarter, I don't know what happened to that Bears defense. They just kept getting gashed and gashed and gashed.
Honestly, it's a byproduct of when you don't know how to win or you're not accustomed to winning, right? That means you don't know how to hold on to a lead. And I think that's exactly what we just saw. Monumental, just I don't even know what the word is. Kerfuffle? I don't know. I'm going to use that word, kerfuffle. Whatever.
Kerfuffle. I like it.
I don't get. There's so many questionable decisions that were made. Right? They ended their game with the interception, but before that, the drive before that, why wouldn't you kick a field goal? I mean, they went for it on 4th and 1 from, and they failed. And we actually have a person that just recently started watching football that asked, why aren't they kicking it? So how is it a person that's been watching football for 5 days already has a better idea of what to do in a situation than Matt Eberflus does?
She automatically messaged us and was like, "Hey, they should kick the field goal." And we're like, "Yeah, they're dumb. They should have kicked the field goal. Why are you going for it on 4th and 1 when you could have kicked the field goal and made it more possessions of the game?" It's again, it goes back to what is going on in that Bears organization. What is going on in that team to where games are in your hand and you're actually now just letting them slip away. Whatever it is. I complain about coaches the most. I just complained about Zach Taylor. I'm done with Eberflus. That guy sucks. Sorry,
Dude,
sounds
honestly, if
rude.
he's not fired, I don't understand what that. I know 4 games in the season, you shouldn't be having discussions like that, but the way they have lost these last 4 games is atrocious. And this should be the this should be the absolute exclamation mark on cool. Are there bright spots? Yeah, of course. Fields looked great today to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So there are pieces to that offense that looks great. That defense looked great until the 4th quarter. So the pieces are there. It's just that coaching situation is not.
It's not it. There. Yeah, it's not it. It's Bears fans. However you feel about Fields, I would give him one more year, but I would not be happy if Matt Eberflus is your head coach next year. And then if he is, then I would be upset with Fields as well. That it's just you're going down a bad path with the Chicago Bears at this point. Anyways, kudos to the Broncos. They got their butt kicked and got 70 dropped on them last week, but they bounced back and were able to get their first win of the season. The Broncos beat the Bears 31-28, and they are now 1-3. We will move it along. They're still, yeah. I mean, Broncos country. You got them to win. Let's ride. We'll move it along to not only a team that I picked to win, which I'm happy about, but a team that I'm just happy to see success there. And that is the Houston Texans, which sounds weird to say as a Cowboys fan and as a Dallas native that I'm happy to see a Houston team succeed. But the Houston Texans beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 30-6, which I don't think I've seen a Mike Tomlin team lose like this either. So Bill and Mike had a rough week 4. The main guy we talked about last week too, CJ Stroud, man. I'm just gonna put this down real quick. I have to applaud him. Honestly, dude. 306 yards, 2 touchdowns. Let me read you CJ Stroud's first 4 games of the his NFL's career. Now we talk about Baltimore, he lost, but he went for 242 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers. Since then, 384 yards, 2 touchdowns, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in every single game that he's played. CJ Stroud, Texans fans, you guys have something good. You have something great, in my opinion. I'm a huge fan of CJ Stroud. That guy looks great in the pocket. He has zip on the ball. He has some beautiful accuracy. deep ball throws to Nico Collins, to John Mechie. He didn't even get Tank Dell involved in this game that heavily, and he still was able to spread the ball around. 9 targets for Nico Collins, 6 targets for Robert Woods. I just love CJ Stroud. I love what D'Amico Ryans is as a head coach. He knows that the defense should help out his rookie, and the rookie himself is showing that he's actually a little bit ahead of what they thought he was going to be. So
Yep.
I like what the Texans are doing. I like CJ Stroud. If you are a Texans fan, shout out OZ. Go get yourself a CJ Stroud jersey right away, man. I'll buy you it. I don't care. That's how much I like CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I respect that. 2 shout outs for me. One, obviously, CJ Stroud for all the reasons that you just mentioned, right? I think you guys there's something that we had a discussion with a couple of people yesterday was great quarterbacks take average wide receivers and make them
Yeah.
look good, right? 100% was you just named them off. Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, Robert Woods, John Meach. Like, these aren't household names. No one knew these guys going into the season. If you did, you're probably just, you're like us. You pay attention, right?
Yeah.
But outside of that, there's no names there. But he's being consistent. I mean, he's being consistent. He's being smart. And he's just doing all the right things for a rookie at that, right? To do. Second shout out, offensive line. Zero sacks. 0 sacks for a rookie quarterback. That's the help every quarterback needs, especially a rookie quarterback. You keep him clean, he'll deliver. And he's shown that. So shout out to both of those. Houston, your future is bright. You're at 2-2. I think this is a season that everyone thought was going to be another, a disappointment. I don't think so. And I think honestly, the division that you guys are in as well, you guys can make some noise. If you stay this consistent, we all know D'Amico Ryan's defense is going to be flying out there. I mean, watching their defense fly to the ball is great. If you guys haven't watched a Houston game, I highly, highly recommend it. That offense is fun to watch. That defense is fast.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what D'Amico Ryan's praises. And, no hate on the Steelers. The Steelers are a great team. So to give up 0 sacks with a TJ Watt on their team,
exactly.
Dude, kudos to you guys. Kudos to you guys. Pittsburgh, this is I don't know where we've been talking so much about the Texans. I don't know what to say about the Steelers right now. It's like you kind of give us a high and then you give us a low. So like I think they're still trying to figure out exactly what their identity is. I mean, we talked about it last week. It just feels like it takes forever to Najee to get even a yard, right? And I don't know what the solution there is, but I'm gonna stick with these Texans. I'm gonna sit there and say great game, great 2 games in a row now.
Yeah.
So let's see where the season goes. But CJ Stroud, Texans fans, you have your quarterback of the future. Let's just hope that he stays healthy and continues this. Honestly, this offensive player of the year kind of stats for a rookie.
Yeah, offensive rookie of the year for sure. He's CJ Stroud right now is my offensive rookie of the year. Just you mentioned that division, the AFC South, they are all tied at 2-2. All of them. It's the most competitive division right now, and no one would have expected it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. You mentioned the Steelers really quickly. Steelers, Giants, and a few other teams that have those young quarterbacks that they don't know what to do with. Kenny Pickett, Mac Jones, and the Patriots. All these teams are kind of stuck in limbo with these quarterbacks that they're hoping develop, but they're not developing. So that's where I feel like the Steelers are. Steelers are literally one quarterback away from becoming back to, oh, wow, they're the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think Tomlin knows that. But I don't think anyone really hates Kenny Pickett. It's just you're really pulling for Kenny Pickett to pull through and learn quick the NFL level.
Yeah.
Shown it sometimes. He hasn't shown it other times. But this game for me was all about the Texans. All about the Texans and CJ Stroud. So shout out to the Texans. They won 30-6. They are now 2-2. We will keep moving it along to an NFC East showdown, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The Philadelphia Eagles in overtime beat the Washington Commanders 34-31. I have a lot of thoughts about this game. A lot of thoughts. I had the Eagles somewhere ranked, I think 2 or 3 in my power rankings last week.
Mm-hmm.
They won this game, but they'll probably drop in my power rankings. The Eagles are like giving teams opportunities to win. And when the team doesn't capitalize on it, the Eagles are like, all right, well then we're going to capitalize on it and just take the W. Like,
yeah.
there's it's weird that the Eagles are always in these dogfights of games, and it's kudos to them. They're winning the games. But I think when it comes to a playoff caliber team, I don't know if they're going to be able to scrape out these wins like how they have been against like the Commanders and the Patriots and these other teams. So the Eagles are undefeated. They're 4-0, and but I don't feel like they're a 4-0 team. I don't feel that confidence. They're not like walking through and just beating up on teams. Like I said, they're letting teams in games, they're leaving them hanging in there. And something about that is just not healthy. And it's winning solves everything. And right now, winning is solving all those issues. But I would not be surprised if if the Eagles start to lose a few games and you see AJ Brown blowing up on the sideline, you see a little bit more turmoil, a little more feistiness between teammates on the field, because they're leaving teams hanging in there and leaving the door open for teams to come in and take the win. The other teams just aren't capitalizing.
Yeah. 3 games now out of the last 4, they have had a 1 possession win, right? So they're inking out wins, but I know for Eagles fans it's not easy, right? You want to see blow. You want to see what you guys did at Tampa Bay on a consistent basis, but it's not there. Granted, we always talk about divisional opponents always going to have a little more frustration for any team, right? You guys have played each other enough where you know each other's tendencies a little bit more than a team you play once every single couple of years.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They just look lackluster, and I'll give them credit, right? We talk about good teams figure out ways to win games, whether they're ugly or they're not ugly. That's where the Eagles are. But inking out close games just because you're a good team only goes so far. It'll only take you so far. And cool, their schedule right now is pretty easy. They got the Rams and Jets coming up next, but then that's followed up by the Dolphins. And then they have the Commanders and Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, Cowboys. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
So whatever this is, they can't figure out how to just pull away or figure out how to get away from, shooting themselves in the foot half the time. They need to figure that out because they haven't gotten to the meat of their schedule yet. That 6-week stretch is going to literally prove what kind of team we're going to see with the Eagles. And I don't know. I really don't know. But it's kind of the same thing where Miami finally hit a good team, right? And we figured out everything we need, or we started figuring out who they may or may not be. I think we're in the same place now with the Eagles. We're not going to know really who they are until they hit that stretch. And right now, I'm not confident to sit there and say they're going to run through that schedule. They're still a good team, but
they are
nothing where they're not blowing us away like they should be.
Yep. It's not like last year.
So,
I don't like how I felt about the Eagles last year, and I think you kind of felt like that too. You're like, wow, this team's pretty good. Like we felt way more confident about the Eagles last year, but we're in the same boat this year. Yeah. Like I believe Ron Rivera made a boneheaded call and didn't kick a field goal or go for 2 or something like that, and basically let the game go into overtime. So yeah, the Eagles are scraping by. They got a tough second half of the schedule, so we'll really see the Eagles get tested there. We'll move it along because I'm tired of talking about the Eagles and I hate them anyways. So we'll move it along to, I think, a game that we all were everything okay there?
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Touch something.
No, you're good. We'll move it along to a game that everyone thought was going to be a snooze fest and a blowout, but we were all very, very pleasantly surprised with, was the Sunday night game between the Chiefs and the Jets. Chiefs win 23-20. They're now 3-1. But the story was Zach Wilson. Like, we gave Zach Wilson a rough time last week, and we're like, dude, you're not him. We said some bad things about Zach Wilson, which, a lot of Jets fans probably would have agreed with last week and probably this week as well. But to come out, go 28 of 39, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions, very good game by Zach Wilson. It goes to show you that the Jets just are, hey, give us a quarterback that's competent and that's going to be able to move the ball a little bit. We got Brees. Brees had 56 carries. He had a 43-yard long run, 56 yards, a 43-yard long run. So we know Brees can get the ball and pound it in or get those big chunk yards. He was also spreading it around. I mean, Garrett Wilson had 14 targets, but Zach looked way better. Like, this was probably the best game he's played in his career from last year and this year. to do it against the Kansas City Chiefs on prime time, not to cause the game, not to like cause them to lose the game, which is good. But also at the end of the game, he's telling his backup quarterback that's it's on me, it's my fault. Last year,
Yeah.
he wasn't doing that accountability. He was kind of pointing fingers and being kind of a little smug little kid. This year, he's growing up. He's maturing and he's taking that responsibility on his shoulders. That, hey man, this was on me, and it was kind of cool. I get it, the Jets lost, but it was kind of cool for me to see that all the Jets players came to him at the end of the game and was like, "Bro, don't worry about this. Like, you did good. We're feeling good. We're trending up. We lost, but we feel way better with you this week than we did any other week before." And I bet Robert Saleh feels like that too. He's like, hey man, I gave Zach the trust. I gave him the confidence.